Oh.
All right, everyone, we're going to get started with volleyball. We have junior Sterling Parker, head coach Jesse Mahoney in his 6th season, and redshirt senior Brenna DeLuzio. Coach, do you want to start with an opening statement on the season?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
We'll wait a second.
Okay. I'll talk really slow. Well, good morning. It's great to be here and a room full of people. That's new for this year. We're really excited to get going this season, and last year was I think a struggle for everyone. Certainly for our players, there was a struggle there. So the sense of normalcy that we've had this first week, we started on Monday. Having team meals together, practicing in large groups instead of small groups and things like that has been a welcome change, kind of back to what we're used to. So, we reported on Sunday. We've had 6 practices in the last 4 days. We're kind of bringing everyone along slowly, trying to be mindful of our bodies because we competed all the way through April last year, and we need to make sure that we stay healthy this season. So, but 1 week in, really excited about our prospects this year, excited to have a veteran group, maybe the first time we've had a veteran group in 3 years where we have more upperclassmen than underclassmen. Looking forward to that for sure. Excited about the returning players that we have. So, we lose 2 players off of last year's team, add 5 more, so we have a pretty large roster, and we have a lot of depth at every position. Essentially, we have 3 really talented setters, 4 or 5 really talented pins, and 8 talented liberos. We got a lot of defensive specialists and some pretty good middles as well. So, looking forward to the competition that brings in our fall camp. We'll kind of start that competition process next week and kind of start to define roles. And then as far as our schedule goes and our season, really like our preseason. We have some really good RPI matches, and we get Colorado State twice. Like normal, we play Northern Colorado, who's gonna challenge for their conference. We play UNC Charlotte, who's gonna challenge for their conference. We're gonna play Xavier, who challenges for their conference. And then we get great matches in the Big Ten Pac-12 Challenge with Iowa and Illinois, and then on top of that we get Texas Tech. So really think our preseason prepares us for what is again going to be a great Pac-12 year. I was talking before this. There's really, because of the COVID bonus year, there's not a lot of talent left our conference, and top to bottom, I think we're the #1 conference in the country, and all the players are back for another year, and so it's going to be a challenging season like it always is, but we're excited for that challenge and ready to go.
Henry Chisholm from DMVR. For Brenna and Sterling, you mentioned the shortened off season. What is the effect of that? Do you feel more fatigued? Do you feel sharper because there's been less downtime?
I just think it was it was nice that we were still getting reps in that season in the spring, but it looks a little different than our off season, so we're not fine-tuning certain technique skills and breaking it down. And then I think you can ask anyone, it was a little more tiring than usual to come back, but I think it was beneficial for us to be able to still play that season and come in ready to go.
Yeah.
Jack Carlo, CU Independent, and Ralphie Report. I guess this question's for anybody, but I think you guys set a school record for most consecutive ranked opponents last year. I guess what were your takeaways from that, and how do you think that'll help, build some confidence into this year?
I'll speak to it. I don't even remember what that number was, but that feels like the Pac-12 in every year, to be honest. I think we had, probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we had 8 matches in a row against top 25 competition. But, you know, in the Pac-12, on any given year, you're going to have 9 or 10 teams that are ranked in the top 25 at any point. And the teams that aren't in the top 25 are really good as well, right? So I don't think we, to be honest, I don't think we talked about it when we were going through it, to be honest, you know. So, you know, we had some good matches last year. You know, we beat UCLA, we beat Utah. Those are, you know, top 16 teams. We were a swing away from beating Washington. They finished in the Final Four. So that's what our league's like. It's a fight every night.
Sterling, how much are you looking forward to having a normal season, and how do you think that'll help with keep and maintain the team's flow?
Having a normal season this year is going to be, I think, a game changer, especially for the team we have this season. Like Jesse said, we have more upperclassmen than underclassmen, so I think with a veteran team and the 5 really good freshmen that we have a chance to be really, really good. So I think going into a normal season is going to be really exciting for everyone.
For Jesse, and maybe if one of the players can chime in too, last couple seasons, especially this past spring, really tough showing on the road for the team. What have you talked about, or what needs to be corrected in order to get that turned around this year?
Yeah, that's a put me on the spot question. It's interesting because you know, 4 years ago we were as good on the road as we were at home. 3 years ago, we were as good on the road as we were at home. And then, you know, 2 years ago, we had a season where we had, I think, 8 or 9 new players, and we struggled on the road. And I kind of chalk that up to, hey, we're new. Last year, we did it again, and so that there's a little bit of alarm bells there. But it's true. I think we, you know, we were winless on the road last season, and we can't hide from that. I also don't want to think about it every day and talk about it every day, because then that becomes the mindset as well. So we're going to go through our preparation like we normally do. We're going to go through our travel and our walkthroughs and our film sessions like we normally do. Our team is really good at that. And then when we're on the road, we have to find a way to be a little bit more comfortable, because it's always a little bit more of a challenge on the road. The other team's more comfortable, obviously. And I think it's just a nerve and I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but we have to find a way to be calm and relaxed and play like we're at home. Because when we're at home, we can beat anybody.
Hey, Jesse, Kyle Frederickson of the Denver Post. You mentioned the strength of the Pac-12 in volleyball, but it's been an off season of a lot of change in college sports, a lot of speculation about what might happen with changing conferences. Are you guys comfortable in the Pac-12? Is that where you would like to be? And if you were to move anywhere else, what would that mean for college volleyball? It seems that the conversation is always framed in football terms.
Yeah, I mean, that's a question that's above my pay grade, but I will tell you that I love playing in the Pac-12, and from a volleyball standpoint, there's not a better conference. And I think if I let the players talk, which I will in a second, they would agree with me. We can't worry about that kind of stuff, obviously. We're going to go out and play who's in front of us, and you know, whether that's a non-conference opponent or that's UCLA and USC, we're excited to be playing volleyball.
Coach, Alex Ramirez, Mile High Sports. Do you believe training at an elevation, maybe at a higher altitude, gives you guys a little bit more of an advantage as far as the breathing and your technique going into this competition?
Yeah, we were just talking about nasal breathing before we came up here. The short answer is yes. I mean, training at altitude, I think, is good for any athlete, and especially the opponent on their second night of competition or second afternoon on Sunday. I think it's a struggle to go to Utah and then come to Colorado. I think that's an issue for them, and certainly if you tell them, hey, it's an issue, they're going to start thinking it's an issue as well. I don't know if you guys have an opinion. I think the ball is different at altitude. The ball plays different. It feels lighter. It floats. And to be honest, we struggle at sea level because of that, not because of our fitness, but because of the way the ball moves and touches. So when we go to sea level, we go to UCLA, we have to get 2 to 3 passing sessions so that our passers can feel what that ball is like. Would you guys agree with me?
100%.
Yeah. So much different.
So it's more that than anything else.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, for the coaches that complain about playing at altitude once a year, we play at sea level 15 times a year.
Hello, I'm Nikki Edwards, and I'm with the Bold. My question is for Brianna and Sterling. What technical elements are you both working on this season, and how do you want to improve your game?
Do you want to start?
Yeah. I think for me, last year I did a little bit of both libero and setting position. So just stepping into a different role of libero, fine-tuning our serve and pass game, because that proves to be such an important element in volleyball. So just fine-tuning that for me this season.
I think for me, my biggest thing right now is working on my block setup. I'm a right side, so I get to block some of the best hitters in the pack, which is it's fun for me, but it can be a little bit overwhelming. So for me, it's just being disciplined on my block, and then also working on my arm swing would be something that I'm working on this season too.
All right, anyone else have a question? All right, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Go Buffs.
you. Yeah, go Buffs.
cloth.
All right, we will move right along now into our cross-country portion of Media Day. We are joined today with our head cross-country coach, Mark Wetmore, and we also have senior Rachel MacArthur. So we're going to start things off with a statement from our head cross-country coach just about the upcoming cross-country season. And maybe he can tell us a little bit about how he feels about Val Constein's performance at the Olympics, since he is still coaching her along with associate head coach Heather Burrows. So we'll start with that, and then we'll open things up and we will take questions from the audience.
Good morning. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your interest. Here we go again, hopefully with a more normal year and a more normal cross-country season. I don't know if we did this a year ago, but from March of 20 until now, it's been an unpredictable and unimaginable strange year, culminating with the 20 cross-country season in March of 21, which none of us were thrilled with. Is that okay, Rach, to say that? That we weren't totally thrilled with how we did in March of 21. And so now we get a redo, I guess. It's a few months later, 6 months later. Anyway, we're ready. Rachel was our number one runner throughout most of the fall last year, led our team in almost all of our races, so she will speak some. She'll answer any of your questions about the women's team. I can help a little bit with that if you want. And then briefly, Val. Val was a good runner for us, an NCAA finalist in the steeplechase for us, and on our 18 NCAA championship cross-country team. But honestly, and I would say this if she was in the room, nothing that forecast being an Olympic finalist. But upon graduation and settling into a grown-up life, she found time to continue to run and continue to make improvements in her athletic life and really transformed herself. Far more to her credit than to mine or Coach Burrows. She did it so much on her own and became a whole new runner. I just left her a few minutes ago. She was here with some of you earlier today. There's a world championship in 2022, another world championship in 23, and an Olympic Games in 24, and that was the subject of our conversation 10 minutes ago, is what comes now. So super proud of her and for her, and I think you'll be seeing some more of her before long. We're all yours now.
Don't be shy.
Both of you, how have you had to alter your workouts this year, especially given the air pollution and smoke in here? Has that made it more challenging to train for the upcoming season?
Go ahead.
I don't think the assignments have varied much. I mean, we just do what we're told. I'd say a lot of the runs you can feel the difference with the air quality, as you mentioned, and the heat and the fires obviously do affect you, but I don't think anything has been too crazy to manage. We still run outside every day. I haven't hit the treadmill at all, and we just kind of work around that. If we need to go earlier, we go earlier. If we need to go later, we go later. Just kind of, you make it work.
We follow the air quality index, which has been imperfect for sure for a week or 2 weeks, but it was much worse sometimes last fall when we did have to tell them day off. So far, we've been able to run every day. It's more troublesome from one individual to the next. So we've had some people that needed to go on the treadmill, but as Rachel said, just about everybody's pushed through it so far. Today's a great day.
Rachel, just curious with trying to pack in a cross-country season, a track season, and now cross-country again in the last, I guess, 6-7 months. Do you feel like that you've had normal training, or does it feel like it's been a lot in a short amount of time?
I think that's difficult to answer because I feel both ways. It obviously has been a long season for track and now cross country. I think it felt a lot longer when we didn't have races going on, so that was tough to balance that and keep going. But no, I think when it comes to summer especially, training comes pretty naturally, and it's pretty easy to just run a lot and not really think much of it. So while it's been a long season, we're now just building a lot of mileage, and the team has really come together and everyone's working really hard. So nothing feels too strenuous or overwhelming at the time.
Coach, you've got a pretty substantial recruiting class on the men's side. I know some transfers that are going to play into the mix this year as well. Can you kind of speak to expectations and what you see in that group?
The world of transfers has changed a lot in the last few years, making it much easier for an athlete to leave one school with a degree and yet have eligibility to use somewhere else. It's too complicated to go into great detail here today, but we will have 3 male and 2 female experienced people joining our squads that could help our varsities immediately, we hope. And then also, we've had a successful year with young people, with true freshmen, most notably on the men's side, 10 new freshmen when a normal year is 4. So there are a lot of new faces. They all have aspirations. Both the men's teams and the women's teams could appear quite differently by October.
Hey, Mark. With Eduardo Herrera on the men's side, I know his outdoor season didn't end the way you or him wanted it to. I guess how did that? What approach did you take with him over summer? Did you encourage him to shut it down for a little bit? Did you ramp up the training? I guess what was the approach to that after the outdoor season lead into cross country here?
I feel I didn't handle him well from March of 20 to June of 21, almost July of 21. It was a year that we'd never experienced before, and we were making it up as we went along, and we made the best decisions we could. But in retrospect, I feel there were some decisions I wish I made a different way. So he was getting tired by the end of the outdoor track season. He had some excellent cross-country races for us, won the Pac-12 cross-country championship in early March, ran some very good track races, a school record at 1,500 meters and one of the fastest 5,000-meter times in the outdoor track season just a handful of weeks after cross-country concluded, but did indeed end June disappointed with his performance at the NCAA, which is more my fault than his. Anyway, what was obvious was that he needed a big rest. And so after the Olympic trials, I gave him the longest rest I've ever given any collegiate athlete and told him, go home, don't move a muscle. I think he might have moved a muscle or two because he returned just 10 days ago. He's in pretty good shape. I think he's well rested. His well is topped off, I think. And now we just have to resume racing carefully.
Coach, Val said you're one of the best coaches in the world. What do you think sets you and your program apart from other schools?
Well, we have everything you need to be a great middle or long distance runner here at Colorado. Now, of course, Val's out 2 years, but she had 4 or 5 years with us, and then she has the momentum of that still. And so we have a great town. We have access to hundreds of miles of unpaved training venues. We have a town that appreciates athletes like Val and Jenny Simpson and Emma Coburn and our collegians. You go to a restaurant in town and their pictures are on the wall. Heather Burrows is the best associate head coach in the country. We wouldn't be nearly as good without her. Excellent nutritional staff, excellent strength and conditioning staff. My recruiting coordinator, Billy Nelson, is the best. So she praises me, but it takes a village to raise a team, and we have a killer village.
Coach, Mile High Sports, Alex Ramirez. I asked the previous media coach that he's a volleyball coach. I asked him about the elevation and how that affects the running, right? And he had mentioned that a lot of the times, most of the schedule is at sea level with the Pac-12. So how do you feel that is an advantage to you, or do you guys use that as something that you can move forward with?
Rachel and I were just discussing this 10 minutes ago, that we don't feel it's an advantage to train up here. A lot of people ask me that, if it's an advantage to train at this altitude. I don't think it's a big advantage to train up here. I think it probably is an advantage to race opponents up here, but in the sport of cross country, we never do. So we go to sea level. We might have a few more red blood cells than a sea level team, but also we train a lot slower because we're up here all the time. I think it's a balance. Anyway, probably an advantage if they come up here to race us, but that only happens once every 12 years.
Rachel, you had a strong season last year. What are your goals heading into your senior year, and how did you change your training regimen, if at all, to get to that point?
I mean, every year, obviously, I just want to get better at what I do, and I want the team to get better with me. So I think going into the season with time goals or place goals is never really what I do. I'm really looking forward to the season. Like, as Mark said, we have a lot of talented individuals coming in, so my goal would obviously be place well as a team coming NCAAs for cross, as that's a huge thing for us. And then obviously stay healthy and stay motivated throughout indoor and outdoor. In terms of training changing, I mean, run more, run faster. It's just kind of keep it consistent, I think, is a big thing. Again, with staying healthy is going to be really important this year, as it is my last year, and any little bump in the road might throw that off. But yeah, pretty much just stay healthy and motivated for the next 3 seasons.
Do we have any more questions for either one of our cross-country representatives? All right, thank you. We'll have football coach Carl Durrell up here in about 15 minutes.
Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I'm unprepared because, in fact, I was not even knowing that something like this is going on, but I'm open to any suggestions from public. I'm no longer head coach. You know it, I hope. I retired recently, I think in May, sort of. And I'm here just on visitors' capacity, being a lazy retiree. So if you have any questions regarding to ski team, I think I can still answer it better than my now new coach and new head coach, Andy Leroy. Even he's been there now for a couple of months, so he should know enough about it. So go ahead, please. I understand it's not ski time and it's not snow time, so it might be a little early, but I'll give you a little rundown on a team if you need. The team will be actually assembled from mostly returning athletes because they all got extra year of eligibility using it. With new additions, this whole thing will be actually swelled to the lot larger contingency because there'll be a bunch of kids they would normally go to school, and there'll be a bunch of kids they'll be normally out of school already or out of team. So it will create a little bigger the membership on a varsity team. Unfortunately, number of scholarship stays the same, so it'll be on lean budget. Anything else?
Richard, just wondering, I think you were still listed as a volunteer coach with the program. I'm wondering if you are going to kind of maintain that capacity and what role might you play with the program going forward?
Well, it's personally, I'm not obviously quitting from life nor from coaching. I'll keep coaching. You know, my departure from position where I was actually created sort of a strange movement and left a vacuum at the bottom of the line, or food chain. So I am filling up that bottom of food chain, helping programs they lost the coaches because of that vertical move. So I'll be helping to local clubs. I'm working with Italian national team, with Alta Badia Ski Academy, so on multiple levels. Well, it's actually, yes, it's an honor for me, and I'm actually, it was funny, someone called me, and Richie, the Sunday newspaper picture of you, Richard Rocco's no-brainer, and I thought, like, that's fantastic. Like always, you know, news can create a funny thing. So in small letter was behind it for pick for Hall of Fame. But that Richard Rocco's no-brainer was actually something what I really appreciate. Outstanding. And again, I am really honored, you know, to be linked between all celebrities and actually exceptional people at CU and in athletic department, and I'm looking forward to it.
So how have you been spending your retirement? Are you still based in Boulder?
I don't live in Boulder, and in fact, yes, I live in Pinewood Springs. It's between Lyons and Estes Park, but again, I've been there for past 30 plus years, and it's a little commuting, but it's very much local. So no, I'm not moving to Arizona nor Florida. I'll be here in Boulder because, I mean, that's all retirees do. All my peers are parking out and leaving, so I'm not doing it. And I'm staying where I am, and my family will be there, so happily.
Coach, what would you like to be remembered for all your time and all your titles here? What would you like to be the most remembered for?
Like the other sport? Or what was the question?
What would you like to be remembered for with your time here?
That's a strange question. For knowing you, after all, you know, because we met first time, 30 years ago or some, maybe 25. And you were a rookie in the business, and I would say I was sort of rookie here, and we grew up to, some rookie position still. But anyway, I think my philosophy was always to keep it as a family business, not my own family, but among athletes and parents. And I always got involved with parents of athletes and kept it in a sort of family atmosphere. And I think with skiing, which is actually only truly equitable sport between men, women, alpine, Nordic, everything counts and everything blends together. So we have had exceptional relationships to the point that I am not actually counting it right now, but I was honored to officiate about some 15 weddings inside a team, between Alpine and Nordic and Alpine and so and so. So that's part of my legacy, and I hope I can continue doing those things. All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Elbow? Tennis elbow?
That's my mask.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Coach. We'll transition to Coach Durrell here.
I wish I can have the same kind of career Coach Rocco's had. You know, here at CU, he's obviously a well-established, very decorated, very impactful coach that made a difference in a number of his athletes in a number of ways, and he's a good man. I met him my first time here in 1992 when I was a young coach, and you know, he was actually it's been about 20, over 20 years. So it's good that he's kind of finished his career the way he wanted to. So anyway, going back into what we're doing, this is kind of football season starting up. We've had our 8th practice today. Things are going really well. As you can imagine, legs are getting tired. You know, right now we're at that point in camp, and that's the physical part of the camp where you get ready for a season. But our team is playing hard and practicing hard and competing well against each other. We feel like we're making progress, you know, each and every day. Even today, we had a shorter practice. We're having a scrimmage tomorrow, but we had some really good work, competitive work against each other, and it was fun to see. You know, some guys are really starting to blossom and season into positions, and you know, some young players are starting to, you know, maybe have a role with what we're doing, and you know, so we're still got quite a ways to go. You know, it's 8 of 25 practices before the first game. But I think the progress and things are starting to really, you know, kind of hone in, so to speak. So we feel good about, you know, the process of what we're doing. You know, we're doing some really good things. You know, I think the quarterback position is extremely competitive. I'm sure that's going to be a question with what that's all about. And that's been really nip and tuck between both Brendan and JT, which is the way I'd like it, you know, where those guys are really competing hard and they're having success. And it's going to make it a hard decision on us, which, again, that's always hard on us. But I think they're great young players that get along well with each other and they push each other. And that's what I like. You know, they have a great relationship off the field and they compete like you know what on the field. So it's good to have that type of relationship within that group. And some couple young guys with Drew Carter and Jordan Wolverton, those are the next two. So it's a good young group of quarterbacks. You know, there's the oldest is a sophomore and everyone else are freshmen. So it's a young group and maybe that group can continue to grow and mature and do some really good things, and that's what our expectations are. So, good day today. I'm sure you guys have maybe a question or two. Maybe that's it, but I'm just kidding. Brian Howell would at least have at least 3 or 4, I'm sure. But anyway, I want to open up the floor for you guys, please.
Joe Rico, My Life Sports Radio coach. And when do you feel comfortable that you have enough time in naming a starting quarterback without mentioning who that is? When do you feel the timetable is for your team to get ready for September 3rd and the Bears? Do you have an idea of what day that'll be, or are you going to let this play out?
We're going to let it play out a little further with the competition. We're going to have a big test tomorrow, which I think is important. Then we're going to have another test the following Saturday. So, you know, I think with giving a couple of scrimmages under our belt, you know, will give us a little better, you know, maybe a better light as to what direction we should go. If I had to predict it right now, it's going to be really tough because they both have been like literally 1A and 1B. They both are playing really well. But we'll see if there's some separation. You know, that's what we're trying to see. You know, when the coaches are off the field and they're playing the game and they're, you know, they're managing the offense and making decisions and, you know, being efficient with what we're doing offensively. So those are the parameters that we want to see them play with when no one's in their ear, you know. So, but I think it's going to be at least a couple more weeks.
Carl, you guys had a pretty busy winter and early spring with respect to the transfer portal, bringing in some reinforcements on the offensive line at linebacker, JT Shrout, obviously. At this point in camp, collectively, has that group of transfers met your expectations, exceeded them, or I guess in any way fallen short of expectations?
I would say everything above except for they didn't fall short of expectations. You know, they met the expectations that we were hoping to have, which was building our depth and having some guys with some experience that have played Division I football. And, you know, so all of those guys that you've mentioned are really instrumental pieces for us to be successful this year. You know, JT Stroud, as you mentioned, he's competing for the quarterback job. And, you know, Max Ray is, you know, he's competing to be a starting tackle. You know, on the defensive side, we have a few more pieces over there. And, you know, we have Jack Lamb and Robert Barnes, our linebackers. Those guys are really doing a nice job. You know, Blaine Toll, he's been out a little bit with, you know, a little bit of, you know, he had some concussion-like symptoms early in practice, but he's back at practice now. So he hasn't had a lot of reps, but the reps that he had, he showed up quickly as being a really good player. So we think he's going to be a factor in what we're doing. So I think the guys that, you know, we've mentioned that we've selected from the portal are really going to help us. I mean, there's no duds, I guess, in answering that latter part of your question. They're going to really be part of our depth and really help us, you know, be a better football team this year.
Hi, my name is Nikki Edwards. Last season, you know, there were some tough injuries on the team. This is a simple question, but how important it is to you to keep all of your men healthy and playing, and how do you protect them on the field, or how do they protect themselves?
That's a great question because that's a day-to-day, you know, measure that as we practice, I'm trying to maximize our production, what we're trying to get accomplished in practice, and trying to also not give too many guys too many reps. So that's where the depth thing ends up really helping us. Our depth is better this year than last year. So, for example, a guy like Carson Wells, he doesn't need it. Carson Wells and Joska Gustav, the outside backer position, in the springtime, because we had a couple other outside backers that were hurt, they took primarily 90% of the snaps of everything that we did in the spring. And that's, we don't need Carson Wells to be taking that many snaps, him being the type of player, veteran player, and knows our system really well. But now with the addition with Jamar's back, Guy Thomas is back, we have Zion Mangale, that's a young freshman that's competing. We have so much more depth, so we're actually getting Carson to be more of a coach to help bring those younger players along, and so he doesn't need to be in that situation like he was in the spring. So that's a delicate balance that I try to handle as we go through practice, and not to overload any of our guys, so that we want to start the season on a healthier note. And but things are going pretty well. So far, it's been a bunch of muscle, I would say bumps and bruises, minor strains, stuff like that, which is part of the conditioning of why you're in camp. And, that's what we're doing right now. We haven't lost anything of significance in terms of guys that are going to be out for months or weeks or anything like that. So, so far, so good. The team's getting in shape. But that's a big management thing that I do try to be conscious of as we go forward.
Hey, Carl. As you look at the landscape over here, as you look at the landscape in the conference or even the country, but particularly with your program, how has the NIL decision from the NCAA this summer kind of changed things, and how do you guys stay on top of on that, make sure that it becomes something you don't fall behind in, or that you stay on top as far as competitively?
We're trying to stay on top of it as best we can from a department standpoint, and we are trying to, within our guidelines and our own Colorado laws, we're trying to do what we can for our student athletes in relation to NIL. The challenging part of it is that every state's different, so there's more leniency in other states than ours, and sometimes you're seeing things that are a little bit more, I would say, lucrative that another program is doing from another state. And, sometimes the public thinks, so how come we're not doing that? Or why is this so-and-so doing this? And, that type of discussion. But that's the challenge of it all, is that it's the way the NCAA has put it on us as universities, is that they said, you know what, you guys are governed by your own state laws. And they kind of, in a way, wipe their hands of that. So we're dealing with, okay, what can we do? We're discovering within our guidelines, what can we do to help maximize some of those opportunities for our guys? So we're still in discovery mode, I would say. We're still trying to figure all those things out. It's still fairly new, and but guys are getting some opportunities for certain things, which is good. I don't want it to be a distraction for what the purpose of what we're doing, which is playing this season and and having a successful season. And I did tell the team this, and it makes sense. I'm sure, hopefully, it makes sense to you guys. Is that, well, making a name for yourself? It really starts there. It starts with the great public perception of yourself. The production you've done. You're getting recognition. Usually when those things start to happen, then all the other stuff that's around the student athlete will start to come about. So I've kind of grounded our team and say, hey, we haven't done anything yet. So if we haven't done anything yet, don't expect much. So let's do something to make a great product out there that we play, and people are find that we're appealing to watch, and you're playing well, and then I think that's when you start making a name for yourself. So I think we're at the bottom of that. Let's do something great for us to get what we deserve. So that's usually the way of putting it for our guys. So not to really get too tied into that.
Hi, Coach. Last year you're dealing with daily testing and all of the uncertainty day to day. Just how is the morale within your program different this preseason, from the coaching staff on down?
The morale is shot through the roof because we had to test every day at 5:15 in the morning, and we practiced. We had to wait for the results before we can actually step on the field and practice. So if you can imagine doing that every day of the season, That's a challenge for young people that are in school and they're working late at night to do projects or papers and all that stuff. But yet that was what was governed with what we had to do last year. And you've heard me say last year about that 2020 team. They were very resilient. That's one thing I was very proud of who they were in terms of how they handled everything. And they just listened to what we were telling them to do and went along with it. I think now in present day, with, we've got about 95% of our team vaccinated right now. The goodness is that they're not testing, and the only ones that have to test are the ones that are still kind of in discovery about whether they want to pull the trigger or not. And so it's less than a handful of guys that have to test, during training camp, every other day or something like that, where everybody else that's been vaccinated doesn't have to test. So after a while, it gets pretty rewarding that, if you don't want to test, get yourself vaccinated. So we're still working on our team. We're not quite 100% yet, but we're very close. And, these guys are starting to see the big picture. And, and I respect that. And so things are going in the right direction. But in terms of the morale and everything, dealing what we did last year to this year is completely different in a good way.
Coach Brandon Cristal from KOA, kind of following up on that, how often are you guys having conversations about the guys still being smart with how they, even though they're vaccinated, they could still, catch the Delta variant or something to make sure it's a non-issue where games become in jeopardy or something like that?
Really, as much as the information that comes out that we get, we try to feed that to them for the position of getting vaccinated. So we're still, pressing on those guys of understanding how the season could work. For example, we know that we're going to have to fly to go and play on the road, and some of our, our charter company that is supplying our travel, their whole airline company is vaccinated. So they're asking us if we're vaccinated, because the question came up, do we have to wear masks on the airplanes? So, and they said, well, if everyone's vaccinated, not. So that's one of those things we put in favor of, well, if you get yourself vaccinated, you don't have to worry about this scenario, or we would have to possibly not travel you, for a game. So we're applying kind of not a direct pressure, but kind of indirect pressure to get the kids to understand, these are the outcomes if we don't get this thing to where it should be. And I think they're listening and they're understanding, what's going to be important for their decision.
Carl, you obviously didn't get a regular offseason last year. This year you have been able to. How have you liked the college preparation calendar as opposed to the NFL? How is that different, or what do you like about it?
I haven't had that question. I would say the biggest difference, college and professional, is the fact that there's no recruiting. So, and even though we weren't out recruiting this past spring with the dead period and all that stuff, I think you're still working on recruiting, indirectly. You're still doing Zooms, all those things that led to the month of June when things opened up. But in terms of the football part, it's really pretty similar. At least that's the program that I have here at Colorado. Most of it that I've put in the foundation of our program is NFL based. That was my last 12 years that of coaching has been in the NFL. So it's really tweaked to a college framework, but it's more NFL based. So we had they took the month off in January after our bowl, and then we started training in the beginning of February for 2 months. In the NFL, when they start training, they have football school. Well, I had football school, and you guys knew that. So we did football school as we trained, really doing on the specifics of the position and understanding certain, things about, the game. And that led into spring practice, which was in April. And then they had the month of May off after finals, and then they came back and started training in June. So, it's very similar. We're in the NFL calendars. They just start up in April. They kind of build as they go. It goes into OTA practices, which is like spring practice. That's after the draft, and so they do the OTA sessions for at least the end of May, and then they have a mandatory mini camp in June, and then after that mandatory mini camp in June, they get a break, and then they start their training camp 3rd, 4th week of July. So it's very similar. I just did it to a college calendar.
Hey, Carl, with Brendan Lewis last season, how much did you see what he did in the Alamo as flashes in practice during the year? And how much have you seen a growth in him just in the mental part of the game and really understanding the offense?
Brendan's grown so much. I mean, he's, to come in the game, which was his first snap of a football game at the college level, was in the bowl game, really in the heat of a competitive match. He came in and in my opinion, he exceeded my expectations. And sure, he did glimpses of those things in practice, but practice is practice, right? And when the lights are on and you're playing against someone you're not real familiar with and you haven't had many reps, in terms of your preparation, he stepped in and played like he belonged out there. He did. He had confidence. He moved the football. He made plays with his legs. He made plays with his arm. I was really impressed by that. And I think for himself, it validated for him that, yes, I belong here. I can play at this level. I can, and even though he had minimal reps throughout the season, he came in and really was lights out. So he attacked the off season very confidently in his training and his work, his preparation. He had good spring. He had a great summer. That's why we're in the situation we are, because he is very, very confident in what he can do. And more importantly than him having confidence, we have a lot of confidence in him too. So he's really night and day difference from where he was last fall.
Coach Alex Ramirez, Mile High Sports Radio. You had mentioned the depth on this team, and let's dive into the running back room here for a second. Jarek Broussard obviously had a great season last year, but you also have some other running backs, Alex Fontenot, Joe Davis, and the list goes on. Do you believe this year, now that the schedule is 12 games, the carries for Jarek Broussard might lessen a little bit and have more distribution for your running backs?
There should be more distribution for our running backs, for a number of reasons. We have more depth now. When Jarrett came out, we lost two backs last year, if you can imagine. We lost both Deion Smith and Alex Fontenot. We had a young freshman in Ashad Clayton and Josiah Davis, and a young freshman in Jaylee Stack. So we had two of the three that were kind of behind. Jarek weren't really quite ready to play, and so he took a lot of snaps. I would say a year later, Alex is back. Deion Smith is back. Obviously, Ashad Clayton is much better now than where he was, last fall. So the depth of that position is going to allow us to not really put use one workhorse, so to speak, in the backfield. And they all understand that. Jarek even understands that. Even after the year that he understands that this year he won't have those games where he's had 30-plus carries, which he had at least 2 or 3 times last year. But we think he's a dynamic player. He's a completely different player as well with, he doesn't have that Linus knee brace anymore. That's gone. And he's having a good camp so far. But I think he also knows, and we've kind of given him and he sees the depth in the room, he's probably not going to be in that threshold like he was last year.
Hey, Carl, I just wanted to circle back. You mentioned your players are almost 100% vaccinated. Is your staff, coaching staff, 100% vaccinated? And then I have a follow.
They are 98.9. There's a couple of them have their one shot in, and they need to get their second shot. So we have 2 or 3 that are waiting for their second shot. So I would say within the next 10 days, we probably will be.
Okay, and then like in the NFL, there's a whole bunch of disincentives for not getting vaccinated. The players, like you were mentioning, you guys have to test every morning. But then they also can't meet with their position coaches, can't go to the locker room, have to wear masks indoors. Is there something similar with your players that are not vaccinated? Like, do they have other restrictions on them besides just having to test every morning?
They have to wear masks in meetings. Anytime we're indoors, they have to wear masks. And that was something that our policy of the campus instituted. So that's helpful, I guess, in a way of trying to protect the bigger part of the herd. But it's also, we're trying to do what's right for the program. And so they have to wear masks indoors. When we're practicing, they're not wearing masks. But, that's something that has been instituted here that they have to do when we're in meetings and stuff like that. So they're still present in meetings, team meetings, position meetings, all those things. They just have a mask on.
Coach, it's so much easier for athletes to transfer to another school through the transfer portal. Things have changed to benefit student athletes, but as a coach and as a coaching staff, does that put added pressure on you to make sure a player is satisfied, happy being here?
I would say the transfer legislation that's in now it's going to be challenging for everyone. So when you say to keep a player happy, we're paying for his scholarship, we're paying for his education. You know, we're going to play a great brand of football. You know, there's a lot of privileges we give these guys. So I'm not necessarily concerned about whether he's happy or not, is whether he's productive or not. So but the challenge of it all is, and you guys know, is that these kids nowadays, they do sometimes take their ball and go home. And that's part of what, you know, that's a challenge I think most of us as in this profession is going to be challenged with every year. We're going to have a free agency every year because of how open that door is now being allowed for student athletes to take. And sometimes it's not even a matter of whether he's happy or not. You know, he might think he has a better opportunity somewhere else. What I don't like, and I don't mind telling you, is that I don't like how we've relieved our our conference rule where they can transfer anywhere, even in conference, without any penalty. I think that's going to be unfair to a certain point, because I'm shaking Brian Howell's hand after the game, you know, and who knows what a coach or a player can be saying about that exchange. Hey, man, you can come here and do this, or, you know, there's a lot of things that are out of our control now. And so to not have that transfer, you know, or at least having a penalty of sitting a year in our conference, that's going to hurt a lot of programs, just because, you know, kids are going to do, you know, what they think is best for themselves. So it's going to be challenging for everybody. You guys understand what I'm saying? It's going to be challenging for everybody. We don't really know what the effects are yet, but we'll find out pretty shortly.
Coach, we chatted with Darren Cheverini for a few minutes yesterday, and he was talking to us about, in his eyes, what will be the next step for your offense this season. And 35 points a game is something he mentioned specifically. Last year, you guys averaged about 29. And so I'm wondering, just broadly speaking, if you'd concur on that note, if 35 points would be a nice, healthy number you'd like to see the offense put up, and would that be indicative of your offense firing in all cylinders if they could do 35 a game?
You know, I remember being a coordinator myself where, stats like that are important, you know, and you have to score points to win and stuff like that. As long as I have one more point than the opponent, I'm happy. If it's a 20-19 game and I didn't get 35, am I going to be upset? No. As long as we won the game. So I think I'm not all that into the stat part of it. I know that you have to have an aggressiveness offensively to put points on the board, but I believe in complementary football. You know, what does 35 points mean if we were already down, it was 54-29, and we're just in scramble mode putting points on the board, and, you know, and the game was already over in the fourth quarter? What does that mean? That, I got my 35? What does that mean? So I get the idea of there's some milestones and goals that you have in your program for that for the offense. But the bottom line is we got to outscore the opponent, whatever that takes. If that's scoring 50, 60 points, whatever it takes. But we're going to do things that are more conducive, that's going to allow us to be successful, but for both sides of the ball and how we operate. We're going to be able to win games, hopefully in 10-9 game or a 60-58 game. You know, we got to do whatever it takes to win. So that's more important to me.
Coach, the fans are coming back, and obviously there's nothing more exciting in my mind than Folsom Field on a Saturday night, big game. I think the defenses are going to benefit from this as well. I thought a lot of defenses really had problems with no fans in the stands. I think there was some natural advantages to the offense last year. Do you find that this might be an advantage to have the crowd back for the defensive side of the ball? How important do you think that is overall for the team morale as well?
I think it's huge. There's no question. I completely agree with you said. I think it was a very good advantage for the offense not to have crowd noise. I really do, right? It was a great advantage for them. And obviously having a loud stadium when you're on the defensive side and it's a home game, you know, that's that 12th man, right? So it's a huge advantage when the crowd's in the full capacity and we're, rocking and rolling and into the game. So, yeah, we're excited about everything being back, back to normal from that standpoint. Having the fans back and having Folsom Field back and, rocking and, I think our players will be inspired on both sides of the ball about that, but it definitely helps the defense. There's no question.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
We have defensive players and assistant coaches over here. I'll ask if you requested an assistant coach. We'll try to knock that up.
Conversation between you and me, right?
It's just us, yeah. Hey, Buff Nation, voice of the Boston March Giants here. It's Media Day at Folsom Field in Champion Centers. We get set for the 2021 season. Finally, some real football this year as things will be a little bit back to normal. Defensive coordinator. He was a D-line coach last year. He's now the defensive coordinator here at CU. Chris Wilson, his second stint around with the Buffaloes. And got to feel good to be back out there and have some sense of normalcy, doesn't it?
Really does. To be out working in a normal environment, no mask on, being able to see former players and scouts come in, it really seems like it's football time.
There was such a challenge last year, the way that you guys, when you were on the brand new staff, you get here, just a few days after you get the job, everything kind of falls apart. You don't have spring ball. So this year having a full complement, how big a difference does that make in terms of implementing system and implementing culture?
Huge. The biggest thing that happens is what you just said laterally is culture. Yeah. We got a chance to continuate the culture and educate. And year two is obviously the big year for you because you've got your systems in place. And now you're just building the culture of the program. So it's been exciting and much needed.
Yeah. I've been around this guy here for about 25 years. I met him years ago, late 1990s, a little stop at Illinois State.
Yes.
And I've seen you coach many, many times. Chris was here when I got here and Gary was coaching. How have you evolved as a coach, do you think, now that you've kind of elevated to that defensive coordinator position?
Experience.
Yeah.
The one thing you can't ever teach is experience. I've had a chance, obviously, since 20 years ago when I got here the first time. I've had a lot of stops, seen a lot of different things. Yeah. Then you had a chance to go in the National Football League, and it's all ball. So it's like getting a PhD in football.
Sure.
You don't do anything else but ball and development. So that has been a big key. And two, just maturity, becoming a better leader, better listener. And so 90% of this deal is just being a great leader and communicator.
I'll tell you this, the intensity has not wavered at all. It's still there when he was out in the practice field. You get a chance to really put your fingerprint on this defense now as the guy, as the coordinator. And I know the fans out there want to know, okay, what is a Chris Wilson defense going to look like? What's going to happen when it unfolds out there in Folsom Field?
We're going to be smart. We're going to be disciplined. And we're going to compete. You're going to ask three things. We're going to be a smart team. We're going to be disciplined, doing the things that you may not want to do, but you're going to do them anyway.
Yeah.
And we're going to compete. We're going to compete our butt off on every snap.
Yeah. There's been a simplification, hasn't there, a little bit of your system that you've been installing?
Exactly.
Yeah. So when that happens, and many coaches have said this kind of thing, when it's simplified, they don't have to think about it, they just can play, right? That's kind of the mindset?
Exactly, because now you want a 4-5 to play like a 4-5 instead of a 4-9 because he's trying to process so much information. So, Mark, the biggest thing is being player-friendly. Coach Swiss, who I played for at Oklahoma, told me one long time ago when I got in this business, no one comes to watch you coach. So we want to make sure that our guys are playing fast.
Yeah. Let's go through the three levels of defense. Now, the defensive front, you lose a guy like Mustafa Johnson who's trying to make a career for himself in the NFL, but you got some talent there, young talent, but talent.
Well, the group's growing because you got a good mix of veteran guys throughout the deal. You got guys like Terrence Lang and Jalen Sammy, and those guys are really your top end guys. But then when you start looking at a guy like Naeem Rotman, who's really making his way, and Janaz Jordan, who's coming into the fold, it gives you some depth. And how you win championships, you win in any conferences, you got to have quality depth between your ones and your twos. And so that's been a plus.
Linebackers, Nate Lamon's back. Great to see him back. He's
Absolutely.
such a great quarterback, if you will, in that linebacker position. You've added some guys there, some youth, some transfers. How do you feel about that unit?
Really, we got a guy from Robert Barnes, whose dad and I played together in college. He's really been an asset for us, and he's coming in and brought a lot of leadership and a lot of talent to that position. Then you get add a guy like Jack Lamb, who's come in from Notre Dame, who really does a great job of processing in all three phases, great in special teams, great on normal downs, and great on in third down situations. So he's really added a key piece. But the thing that I think I've been most pleased with is watching guys like Quinn Perry and Marvin Ham, guys who've been in this program since day one, really taking ownership.
Yeah. On the back end, boy, there's some pieces there. Christian Gonzalez, I think, is really coming along and going to be a great player when he grows up a little bit. But there's some unanswered questions in the back end that you guys are trying to figure out, right?
Well, so much of that will be predicated about our guys up front.
Sure.
You're only as good as your guys up front in the back end.
Amen to that.
And so, guys like Carson Wells, who I didn't mention, is a big piece of that. If you have the ability to apply pressure with your fronts, it complements your back end so well. So they won't have to do this alone.
Right. This schedule you look at for the Buffaloes in 2021, I mean, that's a heck of a slate you guys have got. You like that challenge?
Excited
for
about
your guys?
Really am.
Yeah.
Gives us a gauge. We're in year 2 of the program with Coach Durrell, and I believe we're building it with the right foundation.
Sure.
And so it's a great measuring stick. And I always tell guys, pressure's a privilege. And so you get a chance to play against a schedule like this. What else can you ask for in college football? Every week's a playoff game.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And it's going to start right behind our cameraman out there in Folsom Field on September 3rd. Good luck this season.
I do.
All right. That's Chris Wilson, defensive coordinator for the Buffaloes. Stick with us here. We're going to sprinkle in a few player interviews as we go on. We'll talk to some of the Buffs that are getting ready for a brand new campaign as we continue on Media Day here at Folsom Field. Back here at Folsom Field, Media Day for the Colorado Buffaloes, working towards that September 3rd game as the Buffs will take on Northern Colorado in the opener. Then it's A&M. The week after that down in Denver. Then Minnesota back here, and this guy's in the middle of it. Buff's great. Running backs coach for the Buffaloes, Darian Hagan. And it feels good to have ball back, doesn't it?
Oh, man, it's awesome. It's awesome to be running around, just smelling the grass, and you got the energy going with these young men. Man, it's awesome. I love it.
You just said something that has really struck me. This morning was the only practice I hadn't been at. We came in here for Media Day. But the thing I've noticed, there's a great deal of energy on this team. And you know this. Coach Barnett talks about that all the time. Does a team create its own energy, or do you coaches have to create it? This team seems to have it.
This team does have it.
Yeah.
I think it started, with Coach Durrell in the spring, just emphasizing what a team should look like. And then the players, reiterating his emphasis, and then going out and doing it.
Yeah.
And then when Shannon Turley got him in the summer, and then he reinforced what Coach said in the spring,
right.
And then it all became natural for him, and it's become a habit.
Shannon Turley, and you know this as well as anybody. What a great strength and conditioning coach can mean to a program.
Mm-hmm.
That cat's pretty special, isn't he? He's the kind of guy that can make a real difference in this program.
Absolutely. He's a guy that's really demanding. He's a guy that he knows what it looks like and how to get them, to what they want to accomplish out of them. He knows what it looks like, you said. And, I've been around a couple guys like that. Doc Crees being one, Jeff Madden being the other, and both of those guys, man, when they were here, Colorado football was rolling.
Yeah.
And now we're banking, the same emphasis and the same outcomes with Shannon Turley.
You've got to be like a kid in a candy store. Have you looked at the depth at running back on this team? I mean, it's just like, we all know what Jarek did last year. He was phenomenal as the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year. But Fontenot, and you throw Ashad Clayton in there, and there are other guys, Joe Davis and Deion Smith and other guys that don't get nearly as much conversation.
Right.
But holy cow, you got guys you can go to.
I do. I have a lot of confidence in each one of them. I build them up every day because that's what you have to do. You have to build these guys up because sometimes reps are lacking. But as long as you build them up and you're honest with them, they'll go to the wall for you. But I have a great room of kids, and I love coaching them. My only thing to those guys is, what you put on film is what you emphasize, and if you put it on there and you're doing great things, consistent, you're going to be able to play. And every one of those guys get a touch.
The thing that I like about them, and I've talked with basically about 4 or 5 of them at this point before the season gets underway. Everyone understands Jarek got all the pub last year for good reason because he was outstanding. But that doesn't seem to bother them. That competition is kind of raising all these guys, isn't it?
Right, absolutely. We say it all the time. Jarek came from the bottom.
That's right.
Alex got hurt, Deion got hurt, and Jarek was, no one ever talked about him. And then, we had a conversation when those guys got hurt, and he just ran with it. He became a different type of player, different type of person. And he just ran with it, and these guys see that, okay, if Jarek can do it, I can do it, and that's why the energy in the room and the competitions in the room is healthy.
You know this from your playing days. Well, confidence is an amazing thing for an athlete, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Did you see, with the success that Jarek had last year, do you see a different young man that walks on the field now?
I do. I see a totally different young man. He's really assertive. He's really confident. He's decisive. He's a guy that he leads by example and he leads by his words now. He used to do that. He used to just sit back and let me be the guy. But now it's his group, and he leads them.
When that kind of thing happens, though, that's personal accountability.
Right.
And that helps everything, doesn't it?
Right. When your team, not just your position, but when the leaders of your team can get guys and get them going, you got something cooking. Like Coach McCartney used to always say, we're cooking with gas now.
Wired, fired, and inspired, right?
Wired, fired, and inspired.
All right, and now we see the photos of your son now. This is a recruiting deal. You better nail this thing down here in about 15 years.
Hey.
He looks like he's got a little something to him.
He has a little something to him. He is focused. He's determined, and I tell you what, he's fast.
Yeah.
He's gonna be special. I can't wait to see him play.
Hey, it's so fun when this little boy comes out. How old is he now?
He'll be 3 on the 19th of September.
Okay, so he's almost 3 years old. It gets him out at the practice field.
Yep.
Man, he's showing it. And obviously, he's got mom's ability and
right.
maybe your head. Is that
right?
He has
or
maybe
head.
His mom's ability and her head, maybe.
He has everything that she's produced. My thing is, only thing I've given him is confidence and looks.
Yeah, it's the old line. That he got the good looks from Darian because his mother still has hers. So,
right. Right. I am on the way out.
Well, you close the deal with mom. Now you got to close the deal with the son when he gets older.
Right,
All
absolutely.
Hey, have fun this season.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
All
Thanks for having me.
Buff's great, Darian Haggett. He and the Buffaloes getting ready for that September 3rd game against Northern Colorado as we continue here from Folsom Field on Media Day. Back at Folsom Field, Media Day 2021. Voice of the Bus, Mark Johnson. This fellow right here, number 54, T. Lang. Boy, going to have a big, big season, I think, for the Colorado Buffaloes. How are you? You look great.
I'm doing good, Mark.
Are you
Appreciate
growing?
you.
Are you growing?
I'm trying to.
Holy cow, man. You look fantastic. How's practice been? 8 practices in the books. How's it been for you?
It's been good. I think camp's been really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm just getting back into it, starting to get used to playing football again. Camp's been really good.
Yeah, I got dinged up a little bit, but good to see him back out there. Now you had a chance to play under Chris Wilson as the defensive line coach. Now he's a defensive coordinator. Were you able to share with the other guys, other positions on the defensive side, the intensity he brings as a coach?
Oh, well, I think they can already see it from the practices we've had.
They probably heard him all last year, right?
Right. I mean, Coach Chris comes with the same energy every day. He's really intense and pushes us, so it's going to be good for us.
But besides that, tell us what it is about him, because I'll tell you this. I talk with coaches all over the country. He's got a great reputation. I mean, people talk about Chris Wilson as being a great defensive mind, a great position coach. Right. What do you see from him that makes him so effective?
He really knows what he's talking about. He has a lot of experience in teaching. I mean, technique, he's really big on technique. So the way he teaches technique, he has a way of getting to guys where they really understand and can apply the technique to their game. So
you like the way this defensive line is coming along? We just had Chris on here a while ago. You've got a good mix of veterans like yourself and got some younger guys. You like the group and you like the potential?
I do. I love the group, actually. I think we got some young guys that got a chance for a breakout season this year, and then we got some experience in there mixed in. It's all going to be great.
I remember this guy came on campus the first time. I thought, my goodness, that's the way they're supposed to look. All right, right? You're a young man, right? Raw material. Now you've grown up. You're a redshirt junior. You played a lot of football. Do you look at that as being a responsibility that, you know, now I've got to be one of the older guys, one of the veterans on this team, one of the leaders?
I do. I actually try to take pride in being a leader and trying to come with energy every day. And I do. I feel like, not like I have a responsibility to be a leader, but like almost like it's my time. Like it's my turn to bring people along, you know?
Yeah, makes sense. Carl Durrell's culture, what he's tried to install here at CU. Last year was a little bit tough to do that, obviously, when you've got that odd year that we had. Right. You're really feeling it now in terms of what, you know, this program's supposed to be under Carl Durrell?
I do. I think that the first year is always a little bumpy. I mean, we just got a new head coach, but now the players, we're really starting to grasp and understand what Coach Durrell is trying to do with this program. So I think, yeah.
You know, every guy that I talked to, I think, so far through camp, at one point or another has brought up Shannon Turley and the offseason and what that has meant and his approach. And one of the guys used the term, it's like getting a PhD in strength and conditioning. Right. Have you got the same sense?
I do. I mean, Coach Turley is great. He comes with a scientific approach to everything. He really knows what he's talking about. And like I mentioned earlier, I feel better after having the summer with Coach Turley for sure.
Interesting. Well, good stuff. Let's have a great season. What do you say?
Yes, sir. I agree. Let's do it.
Terrence Lang, number 54, as we continue Media Day here at Folsom Field. Back at Folsom Field, we continue on Media Day. Voice of the Bus, Mark Johnson. Linebacker Carson Wells joining us here for a few minutes as we continue on the defensive side of the ball. We just had Terrence Lang on just a moment ago. Well, that's a good-looking human being, isn't it?
Yeah, he is. That dude's a freak. Big-time freak.
It's amazing. How you doing right now? How you been enjoying camp so far?
It's been good. Air quality was a little bad. Other than that, though, we've been getting some good work in.
Yeah? Learning a lot?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Always learning, always learning.
You know, with Chris Wilson being the defensive coordinator, I've always been so high on him and love the way he kind of approaches things, his attention to detail, his intensity. You noticing that as well on the defensive side?
Oh yeah, definitely noticing his intensity. You got to do your job every play, and if you don't, you're gonna hear about it.
Yeah. His system, the talk has been simplifying the system so that you guys can just play football. Explain what that means to the viewers out there.
Instead of coming up with some crazy schemes, you rush and cover. That's our philosophy: rush and cover. You got to play tight coverage, and pass rush has to get there fast. And we stop the run first of all, and then we dictate where they throw the ball.
In what was a shortened season a year ago, I mean, you really almost had a coming out party. I mean, we knew you were a quality player, but last year you really put up some nice numbers in that shortened season. Is there confidence that comes from that kind of entering this year?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I put the work in, and last year just finally came to light, and plan to just keep building on that. I got the experience and the confidence now, and just keep growing, keep learning.
Good to have your running mate, Nate Solder, and Nate Solder. Oh, wrong Nate. Nate Lyman out there playing next to you now that he's back healthy?
Yeah, I'm glad he's healthy. Selfishly, I'm glad he's back, but yeah, he's healthy, and I'm happy that he's able to compete again.
Well, you say selfishly because when he wasn't out there, that put a lot of pressure on you then, right?
Yeah.
And so now you can kind of share that a little bit out there.
Yeah.
How about bringing along not only the younger linebackers out there, for you and Nate being veterans, but also, you know, some of the guys that transferred in, kind of helping them learn the system and what this program is all about, right?
I'm learning the system at the same time, so I'll pick up little keys and little tips that I'll find out, and then I'll share that with the younger guys in the room, and they'll share some things with me too that they found out. We're just learning and building together.
You get a chance to go against this offense. Tell me in practice what you see. I mean, you like that offense looks like it's going to be productive, and you like what you're seeing from that side of the ball as you face them every day?
I mean, I'm not going to give them too much. I'm not going to give them
that.
too much. But, yeah, they look good. I mean, they have their days. We have our days. We just compete every day and try to make each other better.
There's a great energy at practice that I like every day. I mean, the other day, I forget who it was, I remember Robert Barnes, or somebody had an interception, and you guys blew up on the defensive side of the ball. Then a couple plays later, they had a nice offensive play. There's great energy, great competition going back and forth, isn't there?
Yeah, like I said, we go back and forth all the time, not even just each day, but each play. They'll get a couple plays, we'll get a couple plays. We just want to have fun with it. Regardless of what happens, you just want to have fun and compete.
I know you're not going to look beyond the September 3rd game versus Northern Colorado, but this is a heck of a schedule the Buffaloes have this year. A&M, Minnesota. Then you jump into the Pac-12 with ASU and USC, and then move on down the line. You like the challenge ahead of you guys?
Yeah, obviously. We're all competitors, and we want to go against the best competition week in and week out, and it makes us better, and that's all you can do, honestly, just try to get better, chase progress.
Well, it was a shortened season 2020. This guy was huge. He's going to be bigger in 2021. Good luck this season.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Linebacker Carson Wells as we continue here on Media Day from Folsom Field. Back at Media Day here at Folsom Field, voice of the bus, Mark Johnson. We go to the secondary now. Stay on the defensive side of the ball. Mekhi Blackman joining us for a few minutes. Played a lot of football last year, was outstanding for the Buffaloes. And 8 practices in. How's it feel so far?
Great. The team is working good, so yeah, hoping for the best. Yeah.
Are you doing a little coaching on the back end? You got some veterans back, some young guys. You kind of helping some fellas along.
I would say kinda. You know, I'm kind of like one of the oldest guys in the group, so
sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like on me to keep everybody going and keep us up to
there
par.
becomes a confidence that comes with playing a lot of football like you. I mean, as you enter this season, you feel good about where you're at as a player?
Most definitely. I only get more confident. This is my second year with Coach Durrell and his staff, so they're knowing where our strengths and our weaknesses are, so we're only going to get better.
You know, they always talk about in football about, controlling what you can control and overcoming adversity.
Yeah.
You guys learned some real lessons last year, didn't you, the way that
Real
season
adversity,
unfolded?
yeah, for sure. COVID, ups and downs, but, that's life, so we took it on the chin, kept doing what we had to do.
But had a great season, went 4-1 during the regular season. Went to the bowl game, obviously, the Alamo Bowl. Talk a little bit about your running mate back there, Christian Gonzalez, and how he's coming along.
I've been telling guys all day he's going to run the conference soon enough, so you couldn't even tell that he's a sophomore, really. So.
Yeah, but it's a playing that position in college football is a harsh teacher, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, because you're going to get exposed at times.
Yeah,
you're
but
going to make
that's
youthful
the game.
mistakes. Yeah,
that's the game. So, and Christian, he understands that now. Him being a sophomore, he's like I said, you couldn't even tell he's in his second year. Like his confidence is boosted, everything is boosted. He's become more of a leader, everything.
He told me a while back, he and I chatted, and he said, there were times last year where I'd make a mistake and I'd come off, and it's really easy to get down on yourself.
Yeah.
He said, you were one of the first guys that met him at the sideline, though,
Most
talking
definitely,
to him, coaching him up.
I've been in his shoes. Like, I understand that that's a hard job. Nobody understands, really. You got to have a one-play mindset. Something bad happens, something good happens, you got to wash it, go to the next play. So, yeah, like when I would see him down or anything, like I would tell him, like, it's okay, wash it. Like, it's not the worst that's going to happen, so he'll be all right.
We had Chris Wilson on a little while ago, and he was talking about the defensive front. And as you well know, that defensive front is a defensive back's best friend, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, when
for
those
sure.
guys are able to do their job. Tell me what you're seeing for those big fellas playing up front.
This is their second year with their coach as well, so we're starting to be able to get more developed. Coach Wilson, coming from the NFL, he knows what he's doing, and those guys are like starting to trust him more and more. So that's only like a positive for us.
You look at the slate you guys have this year. Northern Colorado right out here at Folsom Field. Then Texas A&M, a top 5 or so team preseason.
Yes,
Minnesota, ASU, USC.
Yeah.
You're smiling right now. You like that challenge, don't
Yeah,
you?
I mean, I like difficult schedules. I don't like smashing people a lot. I like things to be a challenge. So I feel like it's going to put us to the test. We all want respect. Like, we still aren't getting our respect we deserve. So with this schedule, this is how we prove it.
Yeah. You like that challenge of going against them? I mean,
Yeah.
you think of the Pac-12 and the great receivers in this league and the high-scoring nature of this league. You kind of thrive on that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, let's go and have a great year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Mekhi Blackman, number 6 for the Buffaloes. On the defensive side of the ball, Colorado opens up September 3rd against Northern Colorado as we continue here on Media Day.
that you're here.
Okay, guys, thank you
Yes.
for joining us,
We're together.
rejoining us. We will have head coach Danny Sanchez in his 10th season, and two of our captains this year, Hannah Schartz and Sophia Weiner, both repeat captains. So we'll start with Danny, a kind of opening statement, and then open it up to players and coach.
I was going to make a joke about it. We've selected our quarterback, and I'll make that announcement right now. But then I figured nobody would laugh, including Pat, so I'm going to move on. Yeah, 10 years. It seems like it was yesterday we got here. We were talking about it as a staff. Jason Green, our associate head coach, is the longest tenured assistant with one school in the Pac-12, and Dave Morgan, going into the 7th year, I think is in the top 4 or 5. So we're really pleased with our staff and the stability of our staff as we head into this year. We don't need to rehash spring of 2021 and all the challenges everyone had, but like I told the team, you could argue it was our most successful season, regular season. The fact that we were able to finish basically tied for 4th in the Pac-12, get an NCAA tournament bid when the at-large bids were cut in half. Obviously, the NCAA tournament was a little disappointing, but it can't be about that. I was really pleased with how our players carried themselves on and off the field, and it gave us good momentum for this year. So for this year, we have a lot of players back. We lost Hannah Cardenas and Jenny Byer got injured in the spring, so they'll be out for this season, and they were, when healthy, starters for us last year. And then obviously Libby Garrity has had a great career for us, but lots of injuries, so she's retired, and sooner than later she'll be Dr. Garrity, like her dad who works with the Broncos. But other than that, we got everybody else back, and we were able to get 3 of our super seniors back with Gabby Chappa, Haley Adams, and Sinead Hopcroft. So we're glad to have them back, along with 5 freshmen and 2 transfers. So we're excited to get the season going. We play Air Force tomorrow in an exhibition as part of the Colorado Cup. I know everyone is dying to know the Colorado Cup, what it's about, but this year we changed up a little bit in that the exhibition will count towards the Cup. So we'll play that. We'll play Colorado State next Thursday. We'll play Colorado College at Denver next Sunday, and the winner will actually get the trophy at Denver. So we're hoping to win that. So although tomorrow's game is an exhibition and everyone will get a lot of playing time, it is maybe carries a little bit more than a normal exhibition. So the players have been working hard. We were up in Breckenridge this week for some training. I was trying to convince them that training at close to 10,000 feet, they're a lot more fit than they were before they went there. Judging from this morning's training, I think they were just more tired. So we're excited to get going tomorrow, and excited for the season. A great group of young women, and ready to represent the university at hopefully with another good season in NCAA tournament and beyond.
Danny, at times last year, a little tough to score goals for your team. I know defense might be the strength of this team, but what has to happen to have maybe a little bit more consistent scoring punch this year?
Yeah, it's interesting because we were talking to a recruit transfer, and she kind of referenced the same thing, and then I went through it. And the 2 other Pac-12 schools she's looking at, we actually scored more goals in Pac-12 play than they did. But that's why everybody in the world, the highest paid players, are the ones that score the goals. It's the most difficult thing to do. And we've been spoiled with the likes of Danica Evans and Jorian Bauckham, and obviously Taylor Korniak and so forth and so on over the last few years. So it's a difficult thing to do, even within the league. You look at some of the teams in our league that just everyone struggled to score. Having said that, we have a lot of players back. I think we have more options than we did last year. And then, when your leading scorer is a freshman, we're looking for continued development out of Shira James. But we feel we have other players. Tessa Barton had a great freshman year and struggled a bit last year coming off an ankle surgery and just never really found a rhythm until the end of the season. But obviously, especially with Hannah, we're very good on set pieces. So it'll still probably be a bit of a fist fight. I don't think there's a built-in 20-goal scorer, but you look around the country, there's very few of them. So it's going to be a bit of work in progress, but it's a good thing, Pat, to have these non-conference games this year. Last year, bam, right smack into Pac-12 play, 13 of 16 games Pac-12. There was 2 games that were 2-goal games. Everything else was a 1-goal game. There's just not a lot of separation in this league. So, but really what has to happen is, hopefully some of the freshmen can come in and help, but it really has to be continued development of the players in the program. And we feel that we definitely have players that are capable of stepping up.
Sorry, is your team's energy and attitude an important focus in these preseason practices, or what is the main focus?
Okay, I'll take this. I think our energy and attitude is something that we've continued to work on and build on from last season. As Danny said, we had like a core group going into it that were already very close. We went through one of the tougher seasons that I've experienced at CU just because of COVID and everything we don't need to get into, but I think it made us very close, and our freshmen and our transfers have melded very well into our group. And so I think the energy and attitude is the primary thing we focus on, because all the soccer stuff will come after that. Because if we don't have everyone bought into what we're all trying to do as a group, doesn't really matter what you do with the ball if you don't have that energy and that motivation to, be at the final game in December.
Danny, I know you have the Colorado Cup first, but you also have Florida State, the preseason #1, on the way at the end of the month. How exciting is that for the program, and what value does that bring?
Well, hopefully, if Rick George is listening, hopefully he values the extra people we'll have at the game and the extra attention we'll bring to our university. But all joking aside, obviously, we went out to Florida State a couple years ago, and there's not a lot of teams that will do a home and away with us. Trust me, it's the same battle that Tad Boyle has and JR and Carl with football. It's hard to get home and aways, but Florida State obviously is should have won the national championship last year, was winning with 7 minutes to go comfortably, and ended up losing in penalties. And then, that was so basically undefeated on the year. And then obviously won a couple of years before that. So we know the challenge of that, but I think we look at it as we play the top teams in the country every year in the Pac-12, 5, 6, 7, 10 of them. So we're excited for this opportunity. We're excited that Florida State has agreed to return the match. They have everybody back and then some to a team. So we're really, there's other games obviously a lot before then, but we'd be lying if there wasn't going to be a little extra energy and focus for that. Just like if Alabama football was coming to play in Folsom. Imagine the energy around that. That's what we're expecting. And every recruit in the country wants to come to that game, for us. And so I think it's going to be a great atmosphere and a great game. And they play beautiful soccer. Their soccer is really more Pac-12 than maybe other parts of the country. So it's a great challenge for us, and we're excited for the opportunity.
For the players, I mentioned the defense before, obviously a strength of the team. Last year, Sophia and Gabby missed a little bit of time. Players stepped in, and you didn't miss a beat. With Sophia, Gabby, those players back this year, has it ratcheted up the competition in training so far? And, how do you kind of keep that defensive momentum going into this season?
Yeah, we have a lot of very strong defensive players this year. We always pride ourselves on our defending, and it is the strength of ours, as you said, but I think it's so valuable having players like Sophia and Gabby back who are veterans. They know the ins and outs of the program and how we kind of teach defending and how we want to play, and I'm just very excited to see how everything unfolds this season, and it's very exciting with all of the new players who also bring a lot of depth to our team, and I think the backline is definitely going to be a highlight for us this year.
In that same vein, looking at the defense, Danny Hansen returns for a second year. I guess what do you like from her last year, and I guess is she taking kind of that next step here in her second year in Boulder?
Danny is a different person than when she first got here in July of, what year was that, 2020, whenever it was. I think if we'd have played in the fall of 2020, I don't think we'd have saw the same one. She'd been basically injured for 2 years at Washington, had lost a lot of confidence. But she had played for our recruiting coordinator, Dave Morgan, and club. So we knew, and we recruited out of high school, so we knew the potential was there. But where she started and where she is today, it might as well be a different person. Physically, mentally, confidence, and obviously, we were still kind of battling. She was battling to be the starter even. And then that first Washington game, it maybe was, sometimes that could be, you're going to play at your old school. And it could be, her performance that weekend was J.J. Tompkins-like, because we like to bring up that name as much as we can, but it really kept us in the game to get a draw and only lose the other one on a late free kick. So she's been fantastic, and she's really kind of grown into a leadership role, which is what we need. But it's been also great to bring in Bella Grust, who's been, you recruit these players, and basically Bella, I can't remember last time I saw her play live until she got to Boulder, last week. But her attitude, her work rate. I think we're blessed to have two very talented goalkeepers that can compete at a high level in the Pac-12.
Hannah, can you talk about the playing in front of Danny last year, Sophia too, on the back line, and getting a comfort level and just building off of that now going into this year and becoming even stronger?
Yeah, I've made an effort to have a personal relationship with Danny off of the field too, because I just love her as a person, and I think she's a great human being, but also just because I know how important that connection is with the center back and goalkeeper and the back line in general. But I think she really is my blind eye back there. She sees what I can't see, and she's like our orchestrator back there. Like, she really keeps everyone organized, and we need each other very badly. Like, one could not do well without the other. So I think she's done an incredible job. I'm so excited to see what she has to bring this season, and just keep seeing her confidence rise is going to be a really fun thing to watch.
Danny, we're hearing a lot about the NIL with football and the basketballs, but how's it affecting your sport, especially with the growing popularity of it?
We're open for endorsement opportunities. All of our players are willing to accept them. You know, Jason Green, our assistant, brought up last night with BYU getting all the walk-on player scholarships. I'm like, there's got to be someone in Boulder that would value the quality of our young student athletes, that has a company that would love to maybe help, because we're equivalency sports. So nobody gets a full ride on our team. Most are partial, especially our out-of-state kids when it's 55, 60 grand. They're paying a lot of money to go to school here. Man, there has to be someone that has something to love. Maybe put an academic requirement on it, like you have to have a certain GPA, you endorse our product, and we'll maybe fill in some of the gaps on your tuition. That could really drive our program next level, so that's a soft sell. So feel free to send me that information. But I don't think it's trickled down to us too much yet. I think for everyone it's new, but I think it does open up a lot of opportunities for all of our, obviously there's certain sports that are going to get the attention, but I think our players, if you don't look any further than women's soccer at the professional and international level, almost every one of them make most of their money off of endorsements. So we're up for suggestions. We're pretty busy right now, but I'm sure I could find time for the meeting for that.
Sophia, we watched Hannah score from the back line last year. Any chance you're going to get in the action this year?
I would like to think so. But all joking aside, I hope so. I'm like coming off of my knee surgery that was in April, but I feel close to 100% right now, and I've played all over the field, so maybe I'll score from the back line, maybe the midfield. I don't know, but hopefully I get some goals in there. But if not, I'm good with anyone else scoring, as long as we're winning.
I'm all for it, Seth.
Yeah.
We don't pick
We're
and
good.
choose.
For Hannah and Sophia, I guess you guys didn't wrap up the season last year until like late April, and it's August now. Is that quick turnaround? Does that bring any challenges for you guys?
I think one positive thing is that we didn't have enough time really to get out of shape. Like, we just kind of got right back into it, and we had a bit of time apart to decompress, but the core group, as we said, came back and we're all together again. And so it just is like a continuation, building off of the energy that we had and the success that we had in the spring. So I think it's a good segue into this fall.
Yeah, I think more than anything, everyone's just excited to be back to normalcy a little bit. We had some fans last season, which we really appreciated, but now it's the chance to be back to normal, having a big crowd for like the Florida State game, like Danny said. But everyone's just ready to get back at it. The summer is always a really fun time and a bonding time, and we really hadn't had the chance to do that, at least for me, in 2 years because of COVID last year. So I think team chemistry is really good right now, and we were so successful last season, and we just want to build off of that, and hopefully it translates into the fall.
So one last plug, unless someone has something. So to build off what they said, I believe, if I remember correctly, being here 10 years, that Colorado State is a rival of ours. And we host them next Thursday at 4 o'clock. The weather's going to be perfect. I know most of you are tapping out of work by 2:30 anyway. So if you can make it out to print up at 4 o'clock. I've heard rumors there's actually this year a 24-ounce craft adult beverage available as well. So it's a great place to come before dinner. About 4 o'clock next Thursday against Colorado State. We'd love to have a big crowd there to support and get out the first event, right, Curtis? First event of the year. It's always us, but it's the fact that CSU and it's Colorado Cup. So we're going to really push the players to get people out there and to really support this group because it's a talented group of young men.
You sold me, Coach. I'll be there.
There we go. There's one for Chris.
Nice.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Well, we're back at Folsom Field. It's media day for the Colorado Buffaloes ahead of their September 3rd game versus Northern Colorado. It's a Friday night, by the way, game here at Folsom Field. Ashok Clayton joining us. We just had his position coach a little while ago, Darian Hagan. You know what kind of player Darian was when he was here? Are you aware of how good he was?
Yeah, I mean, I heard about him.
He probably doesn't tell you about it, though, does he?
Nah, he don't brag on it too much. But, you know, on my official visits 2 years ago,
yeah,
you know, I heard about him and stuff, the Hagan option and stuff like that, the epic play that they had all the way downfield. And, you know, he kind of showed us his highlights from time and time. But, you know, obviously, you know, his name and stuff on the stadium and stuff.
Plus
so,
the fact there's a national championship banner hanging up there as well.
So,
Pretty
you know,
cool, huh?
He a big impact, you know.
There's no doubt about it.
He was a good player.
Yeah, without question. How's it to be coached by him, by the way?
Man, it's like a father-figure relationship. I wouldn't even say more of a coaching. You know, it's like, you know, we all, as men, we all need father figures.
Amen.
So he's just there to replace, you know, that part of me, you know, missing home and stuff like that.
Sure.
You know, everything, whenever I need something, he's there, you know, coaching-wise, you know, family-wise, personal-wise, anything, he's there.
Well, it's interesting, you know, he comes here from California, right? So he comes to Boulder. You come from Louisiana. And so there are things that he understands.
Yeah.
Being a young man, coming here, being away from home, all those different cultural things you deal with that he can kind of share with you, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, California and Louisiana, you know, is similar, you know, because it's rough in some places and stuff. And he grew up in a rough neighborhood. I grew up in a rough neighborhood, so, you know, he could relate, you know, and that was the main thing last year, you know. That's why I say he came in as more of a father figure because he related to everything, you know, that I was going through. So that kind of made me just open up to him and trust him even more.
You look fantastic. How do you feel right now? I mean,
feel
8 practices
good.
in, yeah?
I feel good, man. You know, I'm ready to go, man.
Your off-season was good?
Yeah, it was a good off-season.
And Coach Turley and all the stuff that he was doing, I mean.
He got us right.
Yeah.
Got us ready to go.
You know, you think about it, but back in high school, right, all these guys that get here, they're such phenomenal athletes. See, you guys are just better athletes than most of the guys you played. You get here, everyone's a great athlete.
Yeah.
Now you learn about the preparation, the lifting, the conditioning, how you take care of your body. It changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when I first got here, you know, it took me a while to adjust to the altitude, you know, the workouts. But it was mainly the altitude, you know, altitude. Every workout, it was getting to me. But, you know, as days went by, weeks went by, you know, my body got adjusted to it. And, you know, I started to see a difference in how I look, how I feel, you know, how I run and stuff. And, you know, you know, everything's going smooth.
How was the first time you dealt with snow? Had you ever dealt with snow? Louisiana,
No.
obviously not, but had you ever been around snow at all?
I mean, it snowed one time in Louisiana, and I remember that I was in first grade. This was 2008,
and they canceled
Jeez,
school.
you just made me feel old, by the way.
Yes, they canceled school, and we all just went outside and played in the snow. But
Yeah.
other than that, when I first came out here, 3 feet of snow, I was like,
That's
man,
nuts.
I was like,
Yeah.
it was just out of my element. But
That's
it was
about-
a blessing at the same time, you know.
That's about when you call back home and say, maybe I need to come back to Louisiana.
Yeah.
We're glad you stuck around, though,
Yeah,
to be honest
sure.
with you. You know, we've seen flashes from us, Sean, last year a little bit, in that shortened season. We're waiting to see you. I want to see you. I can't wait to have the call when they hand that ball off to you to take off. Are you excited to showcase yourself?
Man, like I said, I'm ready to go. All the work my teammates and I put in the summer and stuff, trusting them, building a brotherly bond, as y'all will see on the field, coming up September 3rd. It's going to be a different team. I'm pretty sure everybody ready to go. And, I got my glimpse last year, but I feel like, I'm a whole different person just because I'm moving faster, adjusted to the offense. Everything just moving way faster to me.
Darian brought something up, and we had him on here a little while ago. He said, Jarek came in kind of towards the bottom of the depth chart last year, and look what he did, Offensive Player of the Year in the Pac-12. That's a great lesson for all of you guys, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're given an opportunity, you got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of every opportunity, every rep in practice. We have so many running backs, so it's a rotation. So every rep, just take advantage of it, make it your best rep.
Because you know that when you get out there, if you take advantage of the first rep you get to get another,
Yeah,
and another,
and another.
right? It kind of builds upon itself.
Builds up.
Yeah. This schedule this season, are you excited about how challenging this slate is?
I mean, I love a challenge. This schedule is gonna reveal the real toughness of our team.
Right.
The team that was conditioning in the summer, with Coach Turley and stuff. And like I said, Coach Turley got us right. It was a different summer than last year. Last year we had COVID. It was an off and on summer type, but we had a full summer conditioning, and I'm just real excited to see, the impact that we have on each other as we play. Getting hype on the sidelines for each other, and, kicking some butt.
I like it.
Yeah.
Now, I know I'm not telling you something you don't know. You're taking care of those big fellas. You know how important they are for you fellas to carry the ball,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
You like that group in front of you?
Yeah, O-line, man. I wouldn't be able to do it without them. Me, Jarek, Alex, we wouldn't be able to do it without them. They lead the way.
Yeah.
They lead the way for us.
Yeah, this would have been before your time, but when Philip Lindsay was here, you had a big ball game right out here at Folsom Field, and he came to the press conference, brought the offensive line. They sat down. He stood up and let them kind of get the spotlight that day. So you got to take care of those fellas.
That's cool. You got to.
I like it. I can't wait to see you play this year.
Yes, sir.
All right, good luck. Ashad Clayton, money back for the Buffaloes as they get set for that game against Northern Colorado on September 3rd at Folsom Field. It's Media Day here on campus. Back here, Media Day at Folsom Field, voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. This guy here doesn't even need an introduction. It's like walking around campus with Elvis with this guy here as good as he is, man. Jarek Broussard, Offensive Player of the Year last year in the Pac-12. Boy, how do you follow up a performance like that?
Man, just
go and do it again, right?
Yeah, I'm just focused on playing again. That's all.
How was your off season? I know you and I have had some fun with this. You don't have the knee brace on this year.
No
You're
brace.
feeling good. You look fantastic.
Feel good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This offseason was a really good offseason for us. We were benefit enough to, get a new strength coach, Shannon Turley, and he came in and he propelled us forward. Yeah, a big difference.
Yeah. It's interesting. Every guy we talk to, you've heard it right here during our coverage here today. I mean, every guy mentions him about being impactful and the way he's kind of altered the way he does things. What makes it special? Why do you feel so good about what he took you through in the offseason?
He gets you to believe in yourself, and he focuses on a lot of like the little things. He don't really just tell you, okay, we're gonna go in the weight room and we're gonna lift all these weights. He's gonna like tell you why we're lifting the weight, like why is the movements beneficial to the game of football.
Sure.
And he just breaks it down, and he just makes you like you understand the game from a
And he's big on flexibility, isn't
he? Stretch a lot more.
That's a huge deal. And I don't think people understand how important that is for you guys.
Very important.
Yeah. We had Darian out here a little while ago, and I asked him about if he sees a difference in you. Because, and Darian went through this early in his career. When he got that confidence and understood I can play at this level, do you feel different kind of approaching this season this year after what you did last year?
Yeah. Going into this season, I feel way more comfortable. Being out there, the speed, and another thing I'm trying to do is be more of a leader, like leadership stuff like that.
Are you a vocal guy out there?
Not very.
No. Are you trying to force yourself to be vocal?
I don't really force myself to be vocal, but you know what I'm saying? I kind of just let my actions do all the
Lead
talking.
by example.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, I like that. I was having fun with Ashad just a moment ago. I said, and all you running backs know this. You got to take care of those offensive linemen, right?
Facts.
They're the guys that it makes it. Those guys make it able for you guys to do what you do, right?
For sure. I give credit to the big boys after every game, no matter what.
How was it being coached by Darian Hagan?
Man, Coach Hagan is like literally a CU legend.
Yes.
So whatever he tells us, we soak it in because what I'm saying, he been there, done that.
Yeah.
He's won the national championship.
That's right.
Like everything he tells you is, come on, he's gonna guide you in the right path.
He's been there. He's done it when he speaks. Just listen and do it, right?
Yeah, for sure. You
excited about this season?
So excited.
Yeah. This offense, are you happy with what I know it's only been 8 practices, but you like what you're seeing so far?
Yeah, just being around, growing up, like, what I'm saying, my few years I've been at CU. I feel like this is the most, the best fall camp we've had.
Nice.
Like, with, everybody being on board. We got the communication, the offense and the defense going back and forth, the emotion. I feel like it's all there, and everybody's just ready.
What's that going to be like? September 3rd on a Friday night. That place is going to be packed out there. You're going to get to run behind a Ralphie, for goodness sakes, finally, right?
Right.
It's going to be awesome,
It's going to be amazing.
I look forward to it. Look for the encore for this guy in 2021. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
All right, Jarek Broussard, he and the Buffaloes on that Friday night, September 3rd against Northern Colorado. We'll continue here now to offensive side of the ball as we cover Media Day here, 2021. Media Day coverage continues here at Folsom Field for 2021. Voice of the bus, Mark Johnson. I always like when the big fellas come rolling on it. Number one, it makes me look small, which is good. Caden Ray joining us, offensive lineman for the Buffaloes. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Just, in the dog days of summer, just trying to get better. And
That gets awful tough, doesn't it? When you first get out there, you're excited, the emotion, everything's kind of flowing. Now you get 7, 8, 9, 10 practices in. You're at 8 right now. And it takes a little bit of determination to kind of fight through this, doesn't it?
For sure. A lot of mental toughness, and just staying disciplined, keeping the big prize at mind, and waking up every day, keeping that same goal in mind. If not, this stuff kind of gets a little monotonous and, kind of starts to get a little tiring. So, as long as you keep the, goal at mind, you'll do all right.
All right, give me the assessment now of the offensive front. That unit's got to be, so cohesive, and you guys got to work together. How's things coming along?
Yeah, no doubt. I think this is probably the best offensive line group we've had since I've been here. There's probably 9 or 10 guys that could play, and we wouldn't miss a beat on the field. There's a lot of cohesiveness. I would say we're the closest position group, even off the field on the team.
Nice.
And that's great, and we're doing a great job so far. We've been able to run the ball really well this camp, and hopefully we can bring that into the season.
You playing where you do as a guard there. You got Colby Purcell in the middle, who's played a lot of football for this program. I mean, it's got to be nice to have that guy as kind of an anchor in there, and the guy that's making the calls, right?
For sure. Colby knows everything. He's like a coach out there. So, you need something, Colby's going to know exactly. He knows what everybody's doing out there. He's such a seasoned veteran.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's great to, there's so much comfortability playing next to a guy like that.
Mitch Roderick. Tell me what it's like playing for him.
Yeah, Coach Rod's great. He's really on top of his game with coaching us. He gets us fired up and makes sure we know all the details going into practice. He's a great coach.
Yeah. Smartest guys always play closest to football, isn't that right?
No doubt.
So if you're right on top of the football, it means you got to be the brainiest guys.
Of course. I say offensive line, besides quarterback, are by far smartest on the field.
All right, well, you get a chance every day to go across the line of scrimmage from the defensive front.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all wondering about that group, what Chris Wilson's doing there. You've got some veterans, you got some youth there. Tell me what you see from that unit.
Yeah, Coach Wilson's awesome. I'll say that first. Yeah. He's got those guys going. And, Terrence Lang, Naeem Rodman, Jalen Sami, just to name a few, those guys are really getting after it. Coach Wilson's got them fired up every day. So, iron sharpens iron, and that's kind of the motto we've been going through camp. Just, going against guys like that, we're just getting better every single day.
Is there a different feel here? Last year was so strange, as we well know, for all the obvious reasons. But now getting a full kind of running start at this season, understanding Carl Durrell's culture, what this program is supposed to be, is there a different feel?
Yeah, in my time, this is the first time I've had a coaching staff for 2 years in a row.
That's
in
right.
my time here at Colorado. So, it's just great to have the same system 2 years in a row. It's not so much learning, the installs anymore. It's just kind of go out there and, fine-tuning the details, but really just going out there and playing, which is so comfortable as a player, just being able to, you really know the system. Now you just kind of let it all out,
Well, keep fighting through the dog days here.
Yep.
3 weeks from today, in fact. You got a football game.
Yep, that's awesome. I cannot wait.
Good luck.
Cool, appreciate it.
Cannon Ray, offensive line for the Colorado Buffaloes. It's media day here at Folsom Field. All right, back one final time here at Folsom Field. It's Media Day 2021 for the football team, and all you got to do is just all of a sudden glance at your computer screen. You see the hair, you know who we're talking to. Brady Russell, tight end out here for the Buffaloes. And by the way, he walked up and dropped it down, so he had it up.
I did have it up in the bun. Had to let it down for the interview.
That's pretty strong. It was about a year ago. Wasn't it about a year ago when I tweeted out that photo at you when I had my my mullet back in the day?
It was about
Remember?
a year ago.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It was glorious.
Yeah, it was glorious. Now you decided. I thought you were going to go with a mullet this year.
I thought I was too,
Yeah.
but I had enough family members and friends. They're like, dude, you can't let it go yet. So I don't know when it's gonna happen. One day the mullet's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I can't tell you when.
I did ask him here, I don't know, a week or so ago. I said, "You going to cut that thing off?" And you said your mom wants you to keep it. Is that
My
right?
mom wants me to keep. My dad wants me to keep,
Does
it,
it
which
really?
is weird because my dad was in the military. But
Right,
he's-
that is strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's jealous, is what.
Again,
it
there's
is.
a Samson thing going on here. I'm afraid if he cuts it, maybe he'll lose strength or something.
I know.
So you got to be
Something like
careful.
that.
How's camp going for you?
It's going awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's been fun working back into it and being, because spring I was still a little bit limited, but now
Sure.
I'm just full go getting after it, banging heads. So
That had to be tough last year. You had the ankle injury and you couldn't get out there. That had to be tough on you.
absolutely, it was
Yeah.
tough, but I could apply my energy in different ways. So it was tough, but it was rewarding getting to help some younger guys and bring them along too.
Yeah. Tight end's
So.
going to be an important part of this offense this season, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. In all sorts of ways, all sorts of new things that Coach Durrell brought with him, and it's going to be fun to see the ways we can get implemented into the game.
You know, I think when we think of tight ends in kind of modern football, you think of guys being blockers and guys being pass catchers. You kind of pride yourself in doing both, don't you?
Yeah, versatility is definitely probably the top of my list of what I pride myself on, because
Right.
there's not a lot of guys that can do both. Those guys that you see, not all of them for granted. Like, you can't say all of them. Like George Kittle's a good example where
Yes.
he loves blocking, but he also does a real good job running after the catch.
Yeah.
But I want to say, I'm not George Kittle, but that's one way I want to emulate my game.
Right.
Is being in the pass game, being very reliable, and then also I love getting after it with my hand in the dirt. So.
You need to remind me here, when you first came here, it was a walk-on and earned a scholarship here. Did they project you as a tight end, or were they looking at you as a linebacker? Or what were they thinking when you first got here?
They had me at outside backer, and then
thought
they
so.
told me I could go to either meeting that I want. So I was doing outside linebacker meetings and tight end meetings.
Okay.
And then I don't know if you remember Gary Bernardi, but
yes,
he told me one day I was in a tight end meeting, and he said, "Why do you keep going to those outside backer meetings? You think you're Superman or something?" And I never went back to the outside back because I stayed at tight end after that.
All
so,
right.
Yep.
And you played that in college, right? You were in high school, rather. You played tight end.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. How do you improve your hands?
I think I'd give my family's gonna laugh when they see this. The biggest credit to playing amazing catches on the trampoline as a kid.
Oh, is that
I
right?
had to stand wherever I caught the ball. I could only catch it with one hand.
Okay.
And so I'd be over on this side of the trampoline. They'd toss it over here real quick, and I have to lay out.
Right.
I think to this day, me and my grandpa playing amazing catches on the trampoline. That's where the credit comes from.
What was he throwing it? Was it a football he was throwing at you? Or
Yeah,
was it
the
something
football.
else? It was a football.
Yeah, that's all I wanted ever since I was a kid.
Did you ever play any other sports? Were you a baseball guy or basketball guy?
I did. I was a track guy.
Were you?
'Cause my grandpa was a track coach. He won like 40-something national championships
Right.
at Arkansas.
Yeah.
So I love track, but I didn't stick with it very long because I was so far behind maturity-wise that I needed every second in the weight room I could get in the off-season.
Okay. What events were you involved in?
The 400.
Were you really?
Yep. That was my favorite. I never practiced it because I hate practicing for it, but I was good at going out and running it.
You
so
were a
I'd
lot
do it
thinner
every
back
once in a
then,
while.
though, too.
I started high school at 140. It was 240 by the end. So.
Okay. What do you weigh right now?
250.
250 pounds.
Yep.
Is that where you want? Is that optimal for you?
Yeah, I like sticking anywhere between 45 and 55.
Okay.
So.
What was your off season like?
Off season was awesome. It was really productive with Coach Turley in there. It was kind of a change up, so I was doing new things that I hadn't done before.
Yeah.
So it felt like I had a lot of gains in a lot of different places that I haven't necessarily worked as much before.
Did you got and Brady and I have this in common. We do a little team roping. Did you go and do any team roping this summer?
I didn't get out as
You
much
did
as
not?
I wanted to.
All right.
I was out on the boat almost every weekend with our old punter Alex.
Doing some fishing.
Oh yeah, doing a little bit of fish. I don't know if it was much fishing, but it was a lot of casting.
Well, that's why they call it fishing and not catching, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, we're looking forward to getting you back in the field this season. Good luck.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to being on the field this season.
All right, Brady Russell, look for him. Number 38, tight end for the Colorado Buffaloes. September 3rd is when they open up against the Bears of Northern Colorado. That'll wrap things up here on Media Day as we get ready for the brand new season. I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Go Buffs.